I'd like to talk to you today about vision. In 1991, I was part of a team working in China, and then one day I was walking around the market in this town near Hong Kong, and I turned the corner and I saw something that still scares me today. I saw this little baby girl. She was maybe 18 months up to 2 years of age, and she had long, dirty hair. She was dirty body, covered in just grime, and she had dirty clothes. And she was propped up against a wall, and there was a little sign and a bowl. Now, I don't speak Mandarin, but it was obvious she'd been sat there to beg. But that wasn't the real problem. The problem for me was she had her arms cut or just not there from below the elbow, and one of her legs from below the knee was missing. And it was a very, very disturbing thing to see. And I was talking to our translator later. I was talking to the translator, and she said to us that this was common. Disabled children, and particularly disabled girls, were put out by their families to beg. And I didn't have children at the time. I'd only been married a few months, and I was horrified. I thought, how bad would your life have to be that you thought this was the best thing you could do for your child, and to feed them, to clothe them, and maybe to feed the other members of your family. And in that moment, I just thought, somebody somewhere has to do something about this. And the more I thought about it, I began to think maybe there's someone with a passion for business, and they could go into that area, start a factory, create jobs, lift the area out of poverty. Maybe there is somebody with a passion for politics that could work with governments and persuade them to have better policies. Maybe there is someone with a passion for journalism who could write about this and communicate it to the world. Maybe there's somebody who wants to make a film about it, write a book about it, even maybe write a film about this. But surely somebody somewhere has the passion to do something about this. Now, months later, as I was still thinking about this, suddenly the penny dropped for me. Yes, somebody does have to do something about this. I am somebody. I have to do something about this. And as I began to think, well, what can I do about it? Who am I? I don't have much resources. I don't have powerful friends. What can I do about this? And in that moment, I saw that what I needed to do was to go around the world telling young people that they are here for a purpose, that they have a gift, there is something that only they can do, and was to find those young people who wanted to use their life to help others and to help train and equip them and mentor them to go and make a difference. And in that moment, I had a vision of an army of young people going throughout the world, using their gifts and talents to bring hope and healing to those who were hurting. And that vision, I wrote it down, and it was a big vision. And I had really no idea how I was going to bring it about. But I held that vision up in my mind, wrote it down, prayed about it, thought about it, saw myself doing it. And then over the next few years, amazing things began to happen. I I became a missionary, began to travel the world, began training people in making a difference. I began to start projects. I then started a training center in one area of the UK. I then moved to another area and started an initiative there amongst students. I then began to work with universities all over the UK, in Poland, in the Middle East, and some other countries. And it began to develop. And then eventually That led to me coming to Cambridge and starting a project called Begin Space, where we help literally thousands of people to discover their gift and make a difference. And this is the power of vision. There is nothing quite as powerful as an individual with a dream and a belief that it's possible. When you have a dream, it takes you out of the reality of today and lifts you into the possibilities of tomorrow. In our visions and in our dreams, we don't say, oh, but how? We see it as happened. And when we have our dreams, it allows us to say yes to the things that are really important to us, no to the things that consume our time, waste our time. I mean, they may be useful, but they're not taking us in the direction of our vision. When we have a vision, it unlocks meaning and purpose in our life. We now have a goal, which is the heart of purpose, having a meaningful reason to get up every day and go out into the world with enthusiasm, knowing what we're trying to achieve. So, what is the vision you have for your life? Maybe that's too big a question. So, I would encourage you to start with looking at each of the values that you've uncovered. Take your top 3 values. So let's say, for example, your number 1 value is family. So I would begin to encourage you to write down your vision for what family looks like to you when it's 8 or 9 out of 10, when you're really happy and satisfied in it. What does that look like? Maybe that's every week you go to church together. Maybe every week you have a fun night together. You have a play date as a family. Maybe it means you're eating together. You have hobbies together. Maybe it's how you care for each other. But write that down. Maybe one of your values is health. Well, what would that look like? What is your vision for you in perfect or optimal health? What does that look like? What are you eating? How are you exercising? How do you treat your body? Write that down. If one of your values is around making a difference, begin to play with that. Begin to think of what is your vision for making a difference. What does that look like? Who are the people you're serving? What are the problems that you're solving? What does that look like? What is the impact you're making? So you start with those 3 values and you begin to paint a vision of what that looks like at a sort of 9 out of 10 or above. Then I want to encourage you to think, well, where am I starting today? Maybe I'm a 6 out of 10 with my health, but my vision is for a 9 out of 10. Now we have a goal, and we also have a gap, this distance between the 6 out of 10 and the 9 out of 10. Then I want you to begin to think about what are the things that you can do over the next 30, 60, 90 days to move you from where you are today, maybe that's a 5 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10, move you 1 point forward. So from a 5 to a 6 to a 7 to an 8, an 8 even to an 8.5. So think about your values, what's really important to you. Cast a vision for those values. Establish what it looks like fully expressed. Understand where you are now. So get a goal, create a gap, and then think about what are the simple things that you can begin to do, new habits, new learning, new actions that'll move you 1 step closer to your vision. And then if you have time and you want to play with this, my encouragement is to step back and think, what is the big vision for my life? What is my big dream? What is that? What does that look like? What do I want to do? Who do I want to be? What do I want to achieve? What is that one thing that means more to me than anything else? For me, that is that sense of raising up an army of healers, of coaches, of listeners, people who will support people to heal and grow so that they can shine. think about that big dream for your life and write it down. And then in the chat group, I would love you to share what a vision for one of your values looks like, and one idea you have to take a step forward. And if you're brave enough, I would love you to share the big dream for your life as you understand it today. Where's your starting point? Hey, love you all. Bless you. Look forward to engaging with you over this, and take care.